My family made me sleep in the garage while my golden child brother got the master bedroom because he needs space to study. He dropped out after one semester. Now he's homeless and they're begging me to let him move into my 4-bedroom house. I'm 29F, my brother is 32. Growing up, everything was about him. He got into a state university, barely. His SAT scores were awful, but my parents paid for a tutor and consulted with the admissions office, aka donated heavily. That summer before he left for college, my parents sat me down when I was 15 and told me I needed to move my stuff to the garage. Just like that. They were converting my bedroom into a home gym for my brother so he could stay in peak condition for his studies. The garage wasn't finished. It had concrete floors, no insulation, one of those portable space heaters that barely worked. I had to walk through the house to use the bathroom. Winter in Ohio is brutal and I wore 2 hoodies to sleep. Meanwhile, my brother had the master bedroom, the attached bathroom with a good shower, everything. My parents paid his full tuition, gave him a car, sent him spending money. I had a part-time job at Panera and was saving every penny for community college because they told me they'd help when the time came, but that help never materialized. My brother lasted exactly 1 semester before he came home and announced college wasn't his vibe and he was going to be an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur thing was a pyramid scheme selling protein shakes. He never moved out of that master bedroom. I graduated high school, went to community college while working full-time, transferred to a state school on loans and scholarships. Graduated, got a job in HR, worked my way up. I bought my own house 2 years ago. 4 bedrooms, nice yard, good neighborhood. My brother is still selling protein shakes, except now he's 32 and living in some apartment that he's getting evicted from because he hasn't paid rent in 4 months. My parents called me last week and said he needs a place to stay temporarily, and since I have all that extra space, family helps family. I said no. My mom started crying on the phone. She said I was being selfish and cruel. That he's my brother and he's going through a hard time. I told her he's been going through a hard time for 14 years and maybe it's time he figured his life out. She said I was holding grudges and that was so long ago and I needed to let it go. I asked her if she remembered me sleeping in the garage. If she remembered me doing homework with numb fingers because the heater barely worked. She got quiet and then said, "We did what we thought was best for the family. Your brother had more potential." That's when I lost it. I told her he never had potential, he had parents who enabled him. I told her I didn't owe him anything. She started yelling that I was being vindictive and that this is exactly why daughters are supposed to be more compassionate than sons. My brother called me 2 days ago. He was crying, saying he had nowhere to go. That mom and dad's house is too small, they have 3 bedrooms, he just doesn't want to sleep on the couch. He said I had 4 bedrooms and I was only using 1, so what's the big deal? I told him the big deal is that he's 32 years old and never learned to take care of himself because everyone always bailed him out. He said, "I'm your brother, how can you do this to me?" I said, "You're right, we're siblings. So you'll understand why I'm treating you exactly the same way you treated me when you watched me carry my stuff to the garage and said nothing. When you used your bathroom while I walked through the house at 2 a.m. in winter. When you never once said it was unfair." He hung up. Now my entire family is calling me. My aunt said I'm being heartless. My dad said I'm punishing my brother for our parenting mistakes and that's not fair to him. My mom sent me a long text about how she's sorry I felt neglected but family is supposed to forgive and move forward. The thing is, I don't feel like I'm punishing anyone. I'm just not saving him. There's a difference. He has options. He could move back with our parents. He could get a roommate situation. He could get a real job instead of waiting for his protein shake empire to take off. But they want me to house him because it's easier for them. I worked for everything I have. Nobody gave me space to study. Nobody paid my tuition. Nobody handed me anything. And now I'm supposed to hand him a bedroom in the house I bought because he's family? My best friend says I'm not wrong, but maybe I could help him for a few months with strict boundaries. My coworker said I don't owe him anything and this is just perpetuating the cycle. I keep going back and forth. So I don't know. Am I being cruel here or am I just finally standing up for myself after years of being the afterthought? So I didn't let my brother move in and apparently that makes me the worst person alive according to my family. My phone has been going off nonstop since I posted. My mom called me 17 times yesterday. 17. I stopped answering after the 5th one where she was just sobbing and asking how I could do this to her baby. My dad left me a voicemail saying I'm destroying this family and that I've always been jealous of my brother's potential. His potential to what, exactly? Fail at everything for 14 years straight? My brother showed up at my house 3 days ago. I was getting ready for work and heard someone banging on my front door at 6:45 in the morning. I looked through the peephole and there he was with 2 garbage bags of his stuff and this desperate look on his face. He was yelling through the door, "Please, I just need a place to crash for a few weeks. I'm your brother." I didn't open it. I told him through the door that I already said no and he needed to leave. He started crying, actual tears running down his face, saying he had nowhere else to go. That mom and dad's house was too cramped and he couldn't focus there. Focus on what? His non-existent protein shake empire? He sat on my porch for 2 hours. 2 hours. My neighbor asked if I needed her to call someone and I almost said yes, but then he finally left. He took his garbage bags and walked down the street and I felt like the worst person on earth for about 30 seconds. Then I remembered sleeping in that garage with frost on the inside of the windows and the feeling went away pretty quick. My mom came over that night. She didn't call first, just showed up around 8 p.m. with this whole speech prepared. She stood in my doorway and told me that family means sacrifice. That she sacrificed so much for me and my brother growing up. I asked her what exactly she sacrificed for me specifically and she couldn't answer. She just kept saying that's not the point and you're twisting my words. I asked her if she remembered the garage. She said, you always bring that up like it was some horrible trauma. It was just a room. You had a roof over your head. Just a room. A concrete box with no heat that I lived in for 3 years while her golden child got a master suite. I told her that and she said I was being dramatic. That plenty of kids have had it worse. I said that doesn't make what you did okay and she started crying again. She told me my brother got evicted yesterday. That he's been sleeping in his car for 2 nights. She said it's freezing outside and he's going to get sick and it'll be my fault. I said he's a grown man and there are shelters, there are resources, there are 1,000 options that don't involve me. She said, so you want your brother homeless? You want him to suffer? I said, I want him to figure out his own life. Something he should have done a decade ago. She called me cold. She said I've changed and I'm not the sweet girl I used to be. I told her that sweet girl froze in a garage while everyone pretended it was fine and maybe she finally learned she didn't have to accept that. My aunt has been texting me nonstop. Long paragraphs about Christian values and forgiveness and how I'm going to regret this when my brother is dead in a ditch somewhere. I blocked her number yesterday. Then my cousin started texting me the same stuff. I blocked her too. My dad sent me an email with the subject line disappointed. The email said that he raised me better than this, that family comes first, and that I'm being selfish and vindictive. He said my brother made mistakes but everyone deserves a second chance. I wrote back, this isn't his second chance. This is his 100th chance. I'm done. He hasn't responded. The worst part is my brother posted on Facebook about how his family abandoned him in his time of need. He didn't name me specifically but everyone knows. My phone started blowing up with messages from relatives I haven't talked to in years telling me I should be ashamed. People I went to high school with are messaging me asking what happened. It's become this whole public thing and I hate it. My best friend came over last night with wine and told me I need to stop reading the messages. She said I'm not wrong but I need to protect my peace. Easy for her to say when it's not her family imploding. She thinks I should just block everyone for a while but these are my parents. My brother. I can't just cut off my entire family even if they're acting insane. Except maybe I can? I don't know anymore. Every time my phone buzzes I feel sick. My coworker asked me today if I was okay because I've been distracted and snappy. I almost told her everything but what's the point? She'll either think I'm heartless or she'll tell me I'm right and neither of those helps. My brother drove by my house again this morning. Slow, like he wanted me to see him. His car looked rough, windows kind of foggy. Part of me wanted to run outside and tell him to come in. The other part remembered him moving into that master bedroom without a single word to me about fairness. About how I didn't matter as much as his future did. I'm not backing down but I feel like I'm going crazy. Everyone is acting like I'm committing some unforgivable sin when all I'm doing is not saving someone who's never saved himself. But the calls keep coming and the messages keep coming and my brother keeps driving by and I don't know how much longer I can take this pressure. Was I really wrong here? Because my entire family is telling me I am and I'm starting to doubt myself even though I know I shouldn't. My brother broke into my house. I came home from work yesterday and my back door was forced open. The frame was splintered where he pried it with something. I walked in and he was sitting at my kitchen table eating a sandwich like he lived there. 2 garbage bags of his stuff in my living room. He looked up at me and said, I knew you'd come around eventually. I stood there staring at him. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. He took another bite of the sandwich and said he'd been waiting for me to get home so we could talk about house rules. House rules. Like he was doing me a favor by breaking into my property. I told him to get out. He said no. Just flat out no. He said he was my brother and I had 4 empty bedrooms and he wasn't leaving. That mom and dad agreed this was the best solution and I'd just have to deal with it. I called the police right there in front of him. He watched me do it and didn't move. He said they wouldn't do anything because we're family and it's a civil matter. He sounded so confident. So sure that nothing bad could happen to him because nothing bad ever has. 2 officers showed up 20 minutes later. I explained that this was my house, my name on the deed, and this person broke in. My brother immediately started crying. Actual tears. Told them he's been homeless and his sister has all this space and won't help him. That he didn't break in, the door was already open and he just came inside to wait for me. The door frame was clearly damaged. They could see it. One of the officers asked him if he forced entry, and my brother said the door was already loose and he barely touched it. The officer asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said yes. My brother's face changed so fast. The tears stopped. He looked at me like I'd just stabbed him. He said, "You're actually doing this? To your own brother?" I said, "You broke into my house." They arrested him. Put him in handcuffs right there in my kitchen. He was yelling the whole time about how I was ruining his life, how I'd regret this, how Mom and Dad would never forgive me. The neighbors came out to watch. Mrs. Patterson from next door had her phone out recording. It was humiliating, but I didn't care. I was shaking so hard I could barely stand. After they left, I called a locksmith. New locks on both doors, reinforced frames, cost me almost $600, but I don't care. Then I called my parents. My mom answered and I told her what happened. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Why did you call the police? You could have just talked to him." I asked her if she knew he was going to break into my house. She didn't answer directly. Just said that he was desperate and I wasn't being reasonable and he probably just panicked. I asked her again if she knew and she started crying and hung up. My dad called me an hour later. He was furious. Told me I had my brother arrested like a common criminal over a misunderstanding. I said it wasn't a misunderstanding. He broke my door and let himself into my house without permission. My dad said I was being dramatic and that I should have just let him stay for a few weeks. That now my brother has a record because of me. I told my dad that my brother has a record because he committed a crime. My dad said I'm destroying this family and he's ashamed of me. Then he hung up. My brother called me from jail last night. I don't know how he got phone privileges, but he did. He was crying again, begging me to drop the charges. Saying he's sorry, he wasn't thinking clearly, he just needed help and didn't know what else to do. I told him he could have not broken into my house and he started yelling that I'm heartless and cruel and I've always been jealous of him. Jealous of a 32-year-old man who just got arrested for breaking into his sister's house because he can't support himself. I hung up. He called back 3 more times. I didn't answer. My aunt showed up at my house this morning before I left for work. She was screaming at me through my new front door about how I'm tearing this family apart. About how my brother needs help, not jail. I told her through the door that if she didn't leave I'd call the police on her too. She called me a monster and left. My phone has been nonstop all day. Relatives I haven't heard from in years telling me I'm a horrible person. That he's family and I'm supposed to help him no matter what. My cousin sent me a long message about how I'm going to hell for treating my brother this way. Another cousin said I've always thought I was better than everyone else and this proves it. My coworker saw the Facebook post my brother made from jail. Someone bailed him out this morning, probably my parents. He wrote this whole thing about betrayal and how his sister had him arrested for trying to find shelter. How he's learned who his real family is. The comments are insane. People I went to high school with saying I'm disgusting. Distant relatives agreeing that I went too far. But some people are defending me. People who know the whole story from my original post are commenting that he broke into my house and I had every right to call the police. It's this whole public war now and I hate it. My best friend thinks I should delete all my social media and go dark for a while. She's probably right, but I feel like that's letting them win. Letting them make me the villain when all I did was refuse to be a doormat anymore. My brother is out of jail and according to my mom he's staying with them now. Sleeping on their couch. She called me earlier crying about how cramped it is and how he can't get any privacy and it's all my fault. I didn't say anything. What is there to say? I have a court date next month for the breaking and entering charge. My dad left me a voicemail saying if I don't drop the charges I'm no longer welcome in their home. That I'll be choosing a legal case over my family. I feel insane. Everyone is acting like I'm the one who did something wrong when he literally broke into my house. But the pressure is so intense I keep wondering if I should just drop it. Let it go. But then what? He gets away with it? Learns that he can do whatever he wants and someone will always save him? I don't know anymore. I'm so tired. My parents showed up at my job today. I work in HR at a mid-sized company downtown. Professional environment, open floor plan, glass offices. My mom and dad walked right past reception at 2 p.m. and found my desk. My coworker next to me literally stopped typing and stared. My mom looked terrible. Hair unwashed, no makeup, wearing sweatpants. My dad had his arms crossed and this expression on his face I've never seen before. Pure disgust. They stood there while everyone around us pretended not to watch. My dad said, "We need to talk. Now." I told them this wasn't the time or place. My mom started crying immediately. Not quiet tears, loud sobbing. She said, "Your brother tried to kill himself last night." Everything stopped. My boss came out of her office. Someone from accounting stood up. I felt like I was going to throw up. My dad said my brother took a bunch of pills and they found him passed out in their bathroom at 3 a.m. That he's in the hospital now, stable, but he left a note. The note said he couldn't live with the shame of being arrested by his own sister. That I destroyed his life and he had nothing left. My mom was hysterical. She kept saying, "Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted?" I couldn't speak. My boss came over and asked if everything was okay. My dad turned to her and said, "My daughter had her brother arrested and now he's in the hospital fighting for his life. So no, everything is not okay." My boss looked at me. I couldn't explain. Not there. Not with 20 people listening. I just stood up and walked to the conference room. My parents followed. Once we were alone, my mom collapsed into a chair. She said the doctors pumped his stomach and he's going to be okay physically, but he's broken mentally. That he keeps asking why I hate him so much. Why I'd rather see him dead than living in my house. I finally found my voice. I said he broke into my house. That this isn't about hate, it's about boundaries. My dad cut me off and said boundaries don't matter when someone's life is at stake. That I took things too far and now look what happened. I asked if they told the hospital staff what led to this. If they explained that he committed a crime. My dad said that's irrelevant. That he's their son and he's suffering and I'm the one who pushed him to this point. My mom pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. My brother in a hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere, looking small and broken. She said, "This is your fault. You did this to him." I started shaking. I told them he did this to himself. That I'm not responsible for his choices. My mom screamed at me. Actually screamed. She said I've always been selfish and cold and she doesn't even recognize me anymore. My boss knocked on the door. Asked if I needed anything. I said no. She left, but I could see people gathered near the glass walls watching us. My dad said they need me to drop the charges. That my brother can't handle the stress of a trial on top of everything else. That if I don't drop them and something happens to him again, it'll be on me. He said it like a threat. I said no. My mom lunged at me. Not physically violent, but she grabbed my arms and was begging. Literally begging on her knees. Saying please over and over. That he's her baby and she can't lose him. That I have to fix this. I pulled away from her. Told them both that I'm not dropping anything. That what he did was illegal and actions have consequences. My dad's face went red. He said if I go through with this I'm no longer their daughter. That they'll cut me off completely. No holidays, no contact, nothing. I said okay. My mom made this sound I've never heard before. Like an animal in pain. My dad grabbed her and they left. I sat in that conference room for 20 minutes just staring at the table. When I came out, everyone was silent. My boss called me into her office and asked what was going on. I gave her the shortest version possible. She said to take the rest of the day and however much time I need. That she's sorry I'm dealing with this. I drove home in a daze. When I got there, I found a brick through my front window. Glass everywhere. A note tied to the brick that said, "You're killing him." I called the police. Different officers this time. They took photos, took the note, asked questions. They said it's likely someone from my family, but without proof or cameras there's nothing they can do unless it happens again. They suggested I install security cameras. I'm sitting here now surrounded by glass and I can't stop thinking about that photo. My brother in the hospital bed. What if he tries again? What if he succeeds next time? Would that actually be my fault? My phone won't stop buzzing. Family members saying I have blood on my hands. That I'm a monster. My aunt sent me a message saying she hopes I can live with myself. My cousin said I'm dead to the whole family. But a few people are saying something different. One of my dad's old friends who knows the whole story messaged me privately. Said my parents enabled my brother his entire life and this was bound to happen eventually. That it's not my fault. Another cousin I barely know said she went through something similar and standing firm was the hardest and best thing she ever did. I don't know what to believe anymore. I keep looking at that photo. Keep hearing my mom's voice saying you did this to him. The court date is in 3 weeks. My brother is getting out of the hospital tomorrow according to a text from my aunt. My parents aren't speaking to me. Someone threw a brick through my window. And I still don't know if I'm doing the right thing or if I'm actually destroying someone who's already broken. The court date came and went. My brother pled guilty to avoid trial. He got 6 months probation, mandatory counseling, and a restraining order that says he can't come within 500 feet of my house. The judge said breaking into a family member's home was still breaking and entering, and mental health struggles don't excuse criminal behavior. My brother cried through the whole thing. My parents sat behind him and stared at me like I was a murderer. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. After the hearing, my dad walked past me without looking. My mom stopped and said, "I hope you're proud of yourself." Then they left with my brother between them, holding him up like he might collapse. That was 6 weeks ago. I haven't heard from any of them since. My brother is apparently working now. A real job, at a grocery store stocking shelves overnight. I heard this from my aunt who broke the family silence to tell me he's finally getting his life together. No thanks to you, she said. My parents are helping him save money for his own place and that he's in therapy twice a week. I wanted to feel good about that. He's working, he's getting help, he's standing on his own feet for the first time in his adult life. But all I felt was angry. Angry that it took getting arrested and put on probation for him to do what he should have been doing for the last decade. Angry that my parents are still helping him instead of making him actually figure it out alone. My best friend said I need to let the anger go. That holding on to it will just hurt me. Maybe she's right, but I'm not there yet. I installed security cameras around my house. Got a Ring doorbell, cameras on the back door, motion sensors. Cost me over $1,000, but I sleep better now. I kept finding myself waking up at 3 a.m. thinking I heard someone trying to get in. The cameras help. Work has been weird. Everyone knows what happened because my parents made that scene. Some people are sympathetic. Others avoid me like family drama is contagious. My boss has been amazing though. She told me she had a similar situation with her sister years ago, and sometimes protecting yourself means other people see you as the villain. I deleted all my social media 2 weeks after the court date. Couldn't take it anymore. The comments, the messages, the public judgment. My cousin still posts about me occasionally from what I hear. Vague things about how some people choose revenge over compassion. I don't care anymore. Let them think what they want. The hardest part is holidays. Thanksgiving is next week, and for the first time in my life I have no plans. My best friend invited me to her family's dinner, but it feels wrong. Like I'd be intruding on something that isn't mine. I'll probably just stay home. Make something simple. Maybe watch movies and pretend it's a normal day. My coworker asked me yesterday if I regret calling the police. If I do it differently knowing how everything turned out. I thought about it for a long time before answering. I don't regret it. My brother needed to face consequences. Real ones. Not my parents bailing him out again or making excuses or finding him another soft place to land. He broke into my house. He violated my safety and my space because he thought he could. Because he spent 32 years learning that other people will always fix his problems. Maybe the arrest was the wake-up call he needed. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, that's not my responsibility anymore. My therapist says I'm processing trauma from my childhood that I didn't realize was there. Sleeping in that garage wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a daily message that I mattered less. That my needs came second. That I was expected to sacrifice so the golden child could shine. She says standing up to my family now is me finally saying I matter too. I'm working on believing that. The restraining order expires in 6 months when his probation ends. I don't know what happens after that. If he'll try to contact me. If my parents will push for some kind of reconciliation. I'm not ready to think about it yet. What I do know is that I'm not going back to being the person who accepts crumbs. Who makes herself smaller so other people can be comfortable. Who freezes in a garage while everyone pretends it's fine. I bought myself a nice bed last week. King size, expensive mattress, good sheets. It felt important somehow. Like claiming space for myself in a way I never could before. I set it up in my bedroom and just sat on it for a while thinking about 15-year-old me sleeping on a twin mattress in a concrete box. She deserved better. I deserved better. My family made their choice. They chose my brother, just like they always have. And I'm choosing myself for the first time in my life. It's lonely. Some days it hurts so much I can barely breathe. But it's also freeing in a way I didn't expect. I don't wait for my phone to ring anymore. Don't hope for an apology that's never coming. Don't wonder if they'll finally see me as worth the same consideration they gave him. I know the answer now. And knowing means I can finally move forward. I'm not the asshole for protecting my home and my boundaries. I'm not the villain for letting my brother face consequences. And I'm not responsible for fixing someone who's spent his entire adult life refusing to fix himself. That's not cruelty. That's survival. So no, I don't regret it. I regret that it had to happen at all. I regret that my family chose their golden child over basic decency. I regret losing people I loved because they couldn't see past their own enabling. But I don't regret standing up for myself finally. Even if it cost me everything.